And he goes, yep, we get it all the time. We keep it anonymous. And, but we have to report what they say. Um, Yeah.
There's this whole other world that goes on out there that unless you have something like that that comes up, I don't think the average person has any idea of the stuff that goes on. And yet, I don't think they also understand that, most of the time they get away with that crap because they don't have somebody like you calling them on it.
Right.
And thank God for you. All right. Let's
All
see.
right, let's go.
Let's go.
Sorry.
Sorry.
We could talk
We
for
can talk for
hours.
hours. I know, especially the election and stuff. I could go.
Today's a big day.
It is. It is.
I'm gonna let the Lord handle this one.
I have to. I think all of us, yep. And it's hard sometimes because it is his will and he knows better what the deal is. And all
Oh,
right, let's see. I got a
one
clock
thing I
here.
have to mention that I
Yeah.
would love for you to talk about on your show, and I'll send you the link. So apparently, Jenna Griswold changed the passwords on the machines, contrary to what the law is about the state laws about passwords and security on these Dominion voting machines.
Yep.
So, she posted, I'm sure you talked about it. She posted all the passwords online for the world to see.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I think I've covered it in part on 3 days. I had Steve Schleicher, the current clerk and recorder.
Mhm.
I had Wayne Williams, who was a prior clerk and recorder, and then I had had this litigation going on yesterday up in Denver. The libertarians were doing it, so I had that, and then I played part of that interview that she did with Kyle Clark, where she had her big pursed up lips there, and absolutely no plan of resigning. Or that woman she's horrible. I mean.
She's going to run for governor.
I know. I saw that and I'm like,
Oh my
so that's
God.
why she's not going to step down. And that's why, Pulitz and none of these other people are going to have her step down. Without belaboring the point, I will say this. So Wayne Williams caught a lot of flack because when he was Secretary of State, um, she followed him. And then he did a thing where they did a joint PSA that cost about $1 million.
I remember that.
And so he
That was
caught
the
all
last
kinds of hell
election,
as
right?
well he should have with that. So I was surprised that he came out and was calling for her to resign. And I need to find the clip because in the clip he was saying she makes it sound like, no, no, we just gave one password. There was no danger here at all. And he was like, no, they gave enough of the passwords that there absolutely was a danger here. Uh,
33 counties.
yeah.
But then
So
she tried to fix it. There's a way you could have fixed it, but the way she did it was contrary to law. So the election is in process. She goes in and changes passwords
well,
and
and
doesn't recertify the machines.
right. And
They sent Tina Peterson to jail for this.
yes, exactly. And so I had, Chuck Borman, former clerk and recorder as well. And the one thing that they got to was whether, because it's not a direct, it's not exactly what Tina Peters did, but it's close enough. And they gave Tina Peters 9 years. But the point that all of the clerks and the recorders were making is that you did this and then you tried to cover it up and then see if you could rectify it without anybody knowing what was going on.
Right.
And the fact that you were lying and trying to cover up this thing is, as big of a problem as what you did in the first place. God, every time I see that woman's face,
I know. It's very cringeworthy.
yeah, it's very cringeworthy.
So, but anyway, I'll
So,
forward you that link.
yeah, that'd be great. I appreciate that.
It's a guy that tracks all the litigation correspondence. So you might find, and it's about that topic. You might find it useful.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah. Okay, I used all the help I can get. David's got a 1 o'clock, and let's count it down. I got a new script. I got a clock, and we'll count it down in 3, 2, 1. Hi, I'm Richard Randall, and welcome to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold, Guaranteed Realty. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate, and it does it with Colorado's Real Estate Authority, Barb Schlinker. Barb Schlinker is a retired Navy veteran. Barb is an author. Barb's also a pilot, and Barb and her team enjoy all that Colorado and the Front Range have to offer. Barb, always great to be talking with you. Now, we air your real estate voice on Saturdays, and if you can't listen to the entire show, it is always available on Barb's site, barbhasthebuyers.com, or just go ahead and search Barb on most of the popular podcast platforms like iHeartRadio and all of the others. So, Barb, what are we going to be talking about today?
Well, Richard, the first topic is going to be something that I get a lot of questions about from my clients. You know, how does a home seller know what price a buyer is going to pay for the home? And one of the things that's significant is because in real estate, 87% of the real estate agents turn over, get out of the business every 5 years. A majority of real estate agents right now have never seen a market where the prices are correcting a little bit and they don't know what to do. So they'll tell their seller, they'll look back on historic sales and go, oh, your house is worth this much, like this historic sale. And then it sits on the market, doesn't sell, and then they call me, which I'm happy they call me. But anyway, we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about something on the buyer side, some financial do's and don'ts before buying a house. Some of these things that may surprise you. And then the third topic is going to be about the top tips to increase the sales price of your home in Colorado. And the very last topic, and I get a lot of questions about this, is why do people prefer a cash offer when selling a house in Colorado? And as always, I love talking about my hot new listings. Richard?
So, Barb, as fewer people bought homes in recent years due to the higher interest rates, how do home sellers accurately determine what their home will sell for here on the Front Range?
Well, a lot of people miss this pricing discussion. I talk to a lot of home sellers every week. Some are currently on the market, some are thinking of going on the market. And our number one question we ask them is, do you have any idea what the home is worth? Many of them will say, oh, Zillow says X, or some will say, I have no idea. So if there isn't any real history online about it, which I do find a lot of properties like that where they're the original owner, I have to go look at it and really give them a good idea. I can get a range based on square footage and some of that kind of data, but until I see the house and its condition, it's hard to make that call about pricing. And you want to make sure that you talk to an agent that really knows how to do this, that they have experience in sales. A majority of real estate agents sell fewer than 4 homes a year. So sometimes if you're getting somebody to come out and price the home and they don't know what homes are selling for or how to really research it, they could guide you the wrong way and your house could sit on the market way too long. Expertise, market knowledge is really important. And then it's best to be open to sell a home at what the current market will pay. It doesn't matter what the seller thinks or what the agent thinks. What matters is what a buyer is willing to pay in this current market right now. Every seller wants the most money for their home. That's just common. But a lot of people think that, well, why can't I just price it high and have some negotiating room? Well, the problem with that is that buyers have a lot of information. It's online. They can look at Zillow. They can see all of the Zillow's estimates of all the homes around it. They can tell right off the bat, just based on looking at one or two little graphics, whether or not the home is worth the asking price. But in general, what they're looking for is, hey, in that price range, what can I get, right? And they're going to gravitate towards going to see the homes that represent the best buy in their price range. Now, interest rates absolutely do have an effect on the buyer's ability to pay. Right now, the rates have zoomed up quite a bit. Even though the Fed lowered the rates, the mortgage rates went up. We're over 7% as of yesterday. So, as soon as we saw interest rates start heading up, for every 1% of interest rate increase, we lose about 10% of the buyer population just because of affordability. Now, even though we have lenders that can give these buyers a buy down on the interest rate, they're just going to hold off on buying until they know they can afford it. So what we saw this summer is an increase in the number of available homes, and that data is holding. There's still a large volume of available homes on the market. It hasn't really dropped, and yet the interest rates are going up. So we've got all this demand, market factor demand destruction going on at the same time. So if you want to attract a buyer, you really have to price the home what I call very, very realistically, especially if interest rates are going up, because the buyers are going to buy a home that they can afford. So when you're a home seller, you need to make sure all of what I call the 4 Ps are done correctly. Preparing the home for sale, picking the right agent, pricing it right, and making sure the promotion is right. Sometimes it's just a promotion or marketing problem. You never know. So we actually offer free reports on our website, barbhasthebuyers.com. You can go on Barb Has the Buyers and click on the green button if you want to download one of those reports. One of them is the top 7 tips to get your house ready for sale for the most money. And or you can just give us a call all over our website. You can put your information in. If you, a lot of people right now, what they're doing is clicking on my calendar link and booking a quick call with me, which I'd love to talk to people. So I'm happy to do that to answer their questions. But if you are selling right now, it's absolutely critical that you price your home very realistically versus the top of the market. It doesn't seem to matter how pretty the house is right now. It's what does the competition look like, and does it look like it's priced right for the area? I'll give you a couple of examples. I just sold a home over in Peyton area in Meridian Ranch. Beautiful home, ranch style home, backs to open space, has a 3-car tandem garage. Really, really nice, had plenty of square footage, but their former agent made the mistake of pricing it way high and then slowly walking the price down. That wasn't the only problem. He also had a marketing problem. So he took his smartphone and took some happy snaps of the home. Never really took professional marketing photos, which there are buyers that will reject houses just based on the photos. You only have less than a minute to make an impression. So if you don't make an impression in the first 6 to 8 photos that are posted online, they are moving on to the next house. And so they had both of those problems. They had a slight pricing problem, not that much, but they also had a bad marketing problem. So the house sat on the market for 120 days. We go on the market, made a very small price correction, but we definitely corrected the marketing. We had 40 people show up at the 1 hour open house, and within 9 days, I had that home under contract. Day 10, so just because I was traveling and all that, day 10, somebody else went to look at the home. I had gone out to notify everybody that had shown when we were negotiating that, if you're interested, make your offer. We're talking to another buyer right now. But they had scheduled it literally minutes after that email went out the next morning, looked at it and called me and said, "Hey, we want to make an offer." I'm like, "I'm so sorry. I haven't updated the system yet. It just went under contract." I got yelled at by the buyer, by their agent for rug pulling the home. Now, this home had been on the market for now 120 days. It's like, where have they been? And all of a sudden, it's my fault that they were late to the party. So it's crazy stuff. Another one I sold at Indigo Ranch. Again, they made the right decision to get the house ready for sale in advance. They priced it very realistically, and it sold in just one day for over asking price. So yes, even in this market, we can get over asking price if all the stars align properly. And condition of the home, let me start that one over. Condition of a home definitely plays a big part now more than ever. When the market was hot, buyers would forgive a few cosmetic things here and there. But now the buyers want everything. They want a low price, they want the home in great condition, they want to move in and drop their stuff type of home. So many, many times, even though we might have priced the home a little bit lower because maybe the updating is not quite as updated to today's standards, or maybe it needs a little bit of cosmetic work, the feedback I get is, oh, well, it needs too much work. I'm like, but it's 60,000 below market value. You could paint. Really, give me a break. But anyway, so I just think that there are some agents out there that are showing homes that really don't keep track of what's going on in the market. So they just look at it in a bubble and don't realize, hey, we priced this home low already because it needs a little bit of cosmetic work. They don't check it out. They drag their buyers in there and the buyer's like, whoa, it needs too much work. And they're unable to make this transition to go, yeah, but you would pay 60,000 more for a house in this neighborhood, for the same size home. But it's always better to price realistically. So my name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about how do sellers really know what a buyer's going to pay for the house? And the market's going to give you clues right away. So we're going to talk about some things that you can do to get top dollar when we come back. And if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call, 719-301-3900. We have over 28,000 buyers just on our website. Plus, we offer cash offers, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
So we're at beginning at page 6, but we're also at pretty much 12 minutes. Do you want me just to go to the end of this first segment, or try to think that we can squeeze something in?
I talk too much story. I'm so sorry.
No, no, that the stories are good. It's just a question of where we go from here. The stories are good.
Okay. Hold on a second.
I wasn't sure that, where do we?
There's a little bit of redundancy here in the end. So,
Okay, let's go ahead and,
Go to the end thing?
no, you just throw it back to.
Oh, the way.
It
Okay.
has a couple more points to hit.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Squeeze it in.
3, 2, 1. Barb, we're talking about how home sellers figure out the accurate home value when they're selling their home. Do home sellers have to rely on those websites like Zillow?
well, the websites on Zillow are probably right about half the time as far as what the home is worth. So you really, as a home seller, you really need somebody to kind of deep dive and find out, what is it that your home has that a buyer would want to pay for it, right? And sometimes in a shifting market, it can be very deceiving. And probably the best advice I can give to a seller is, if you can be the best home on the block and be priced as the best home on the block, that way you will win. So don't worry too much about that. Typically, when we meet with sellers, we go over the whole thing. We talk about pricing, we talk about condition, and we set them up to win. We know sometimes the asking price is a little bit less than what full market value is, but that's because we don't want to wait the average days on market to get it sold. These people want to sell right away. So that means you have to price very realistically versus optimistically. And we know how to do that. So all you have to do is give us a call at 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Not only will we present it to our 28,000 buyers, but we also will show up with cash buyers to help you make a decision and have options about whether or not you want to go on the open market or just sell off market and be able to sell it very quickly. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. If you are thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we're going to be discussing how to financially prepare to buy a house. Stay tuned for that. There you go.
I didn't redo the clock, so I don't know where we are on that one, but
See, where were we at? That was about 15. So, and there was a little bit of time in there that, you know what? Why am I talking? David, this is your area.
I'll try to figure it out. I think there's a couple things that we can tighten up.
But I agree with David. I mean, I don't think you should ever,
No.
be concerned about the stories. The stories are
The,
always,
the stories make it relatable.
yeah,
So.
they're so compelling.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, ready for segment 2?
Yes.
Come on, save. There we go.
I haven't really done this topic before. I'll try not to talk too much.
I turn my pages too loud, don't I, David? Oh my God.
That's what you're concerned about?
Yeah. Yeah, a big picture, I guess, huh? You're funny.
I can make this one short.
All right. Reset. I'm good. You good, Barb?
Ready?
David, count us down in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, some buyers are sitting on the sidelines. They're waiting for prices and interest rates to come down. Barb, how do home buyers financially prepare before they go about buying a house here in Colorado?
Well, I would say if you haven't purchased a home before, a lot of people are really unfamiliar with the process. They might have bought a car, which is pretty straightforward. You go to the dealership. They're always trying to get you to get financing through them, and you sit down with this loan approval guy, and okay, you're good to go, and all that. But it's not that simple. It's a much more in-depth investigation when you sell a home because it is what they call a real asset. It's much harder for the lenders to take back the property. They could repossess a car, but repossessing a home takes months and months. There's a lot of risk to it. So there's a deep dive into your financial world in order to give approval for the buyer to own the house. And a lot of people are not familiar with the process. So they might think their credit score is okay. And maybe they have a little bit of money saved up, but they just don't know whether or not they qualify or how much they qualify. So we're going to talk about this in this segment. So some do's and don'ts on what to do to get ready to buy a house, how much money you should be setting aside, what lenders are looking for, just so that you're ready to go when it's time. First of all, credit score is absolutely critical. So generally, if your score is below 620, you can get a loan all the way down to 580, but it's a little bit tougher. So the stronger your credit score is, the more likely you're going to get approval and more likely you're going to get more competitive interest rates when you buy a house. So make sure that just on normal day-to-day life that you're paying your bills on time. Use less than what's available, like on your credit card. So as an example, if they give you a credit card with the available balance of $10,000, it hurts your score to max out that credit card. You're better off having it 50% or less than what's available on each card. And don't go out and apply for a bunch of new credit cards unless you have no score. And it's Richard, you might have this experience with your kids, but I know my son, he doesn't really use credit. He buys everything with cash. So I don't know what his score is, but we as a family got together and got a credit card together, and we are carrying a balance on it just so he has some kind of score. So there are, with that generation, the millennial generation and younger, they're not really, a lot of them are not really used to using credit, so they may not have a score at all. Is that true for your kids?
I think it is. I think a lot of young people are in that situation. And honestly, I think that's why you provide such a service by helping people younger and older get through and navigate some of these issues.
Yeah, and so if they don't have a score, they can score you based on paying your rent on time, or maybe your utilities on time, or your phone bill. I'm sure you'll have phone bill and maybe internet. They can manually score you based on that. So in that case, don't apply for new credit unless you don't have a score, and then maybe it's okay to go and apply for like a secure credit card at a bank. So, all right, give me $500 that I could borrow. You borrow a little bit, go buy some gas, and then within that month pay it off, and just do something like that every month. And that can help your score as well. Now, as far as down payment, you can actually buy homes these days with zero down, even if you don't have the veteran benefits of zero down loans. There are zero down loans and down payment assistance programs out there. But the key to the whole thing is, can you afford the payment? So in general, the lenders will qualify home buyers up to 50% of the family's gross monthly income can be in the form of debt. So what defines debt? It would be house payment that you're applying for, credit cards, and car loans. Not typically not utilities or not phone bills or things like that. So that's a pretty good benchmark. 50% though is high. It's a little uncomfortable. The wise thing to do was, if you had a husband and wife team, to only try to qualify on one or the other income just in case something happens. But a lot of people with the prices and the interest rates as high as they are right now are having to qualify for using both of their incomes. So both of their scores have to be good as well. But there are certain loans that you can get. You can get an FHA loan for 3.5% down. You can get a conventional loan for 3% down, even zero down with down payment assistance programs. But if you do plan to make a down payment, make sure you save more than you need, because you're going to need about 1 to 2% of the loan amount for what they call loan closing cost. Plus, the lenders are expecting you to have some kind of savings in the bank for what they call cash reserves, meaning that you could cover 3 to 6 months of a house payment. That kind of savings should be sitting in the bank somewhere. In order to buy a house. Now, a lot of people can use, if they have savings like thrift savings or 401k, they can use the money in there as their cash reserves, but it's better to have the cash. I recently had these two buyers. They were sisters that live with their parents. They saved up, it was about $130,000 to buy a home. And they put that much down. They spent a little in the mid fours for a home over on the west side. And I was so proud of them because what they did, they did the right thing. They paid more than 20% down. They had enough for their closing costs. They had cash reserves. That really puts them in a strong position. If anything happens, they have a lower payment and they're able to weather the storm. But in general, lenders are looking for what they call debt to income ratios. So the best case scenario would be less than 43% of your gross monthly income would be in the form of debt, house payments, car payments, credit card payments, but they can go up to 50% for certain kinds of loans. And then you can actually, there are a whole bunch of really good rent versus buy calculators online. So you might want to go and look at some of those things. You can just Google that rent versus buy calculator and kind of get a feel for that. There are some benefits of owning a home in that you get to control the payment. Once you have the payment established, it's not going to change much at all unless the property taxes go up or homeowners insurance. But in general, the payment stays stable versus if you rent, the rent goes up over time. So that's what those calculators do. And another thing that we provide is we give our buyers access to homes that are not available on Zillow or other tech company websites. And did you know, Richard, almost a third of homes that are sold these days don't ever hit the open market? Did you know that?
No, and I think that that's something that people would only know, quite honestly, Barb Schlinker, by listening to you over and over again, especially on this show. You're bringing new information to people. I would have never guessed that.
Yeah, so we actually give our VIP buyers access. We have almost 200 homes just on our little web portal of homes that are available that people want to sell, but they don't want to go on the open market and deal with that whole thing. So right now there's about a 10-year high of inventory, and some of the best deals actually never show up on the open market. But if you can buy in Colorado, it's actually a great place to invest in real estate over time. I'm not talking a year or two, but over 3 to 5 years. In general, home values go up, and there's an increasing demand for homes. Rent has gotten crazy expensive. Have you talked to your kids about that, Richard? How much rent costs right now?
Compared to where it was a couple of years ago, I don't know any young people who aren't really struggling with that. And I mean struggling with it.
Yeah, they're having to do lots of roommates. It's not fun. And buying a home is actually a very fun experience. It's like shopping on steroids. It's exciting. Most people want it to go well. And the buyer's biggest fear actually is missing out on the perfect home. So we can help you do that. But the first thing to do for most people is to get financially prepared, because you don't want to buy a home and be strapped with it. That's probably not a good idea. But once you get financially prepared, it's really a lot of fun to go out shopping, and we can help you find the best financing. We can also do things like get you access to these homes that are not available online. And all you have to do is give us a call at 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some do's and don'ts to be financially prepared to buy a house. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you're thinking of making a move, call Barb 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. So, Barb, what are some other things that home buyers should work on to prepare financially to buy that home?
Well, let's talk about the do's of getting financially prepared to buy a house. Number one, try not to freeze your credit. I know a lot of people do that because they'll get notification of, oh, the gas station got hacked or something like that. When you're buying a house, you need to be unfrozen so that the lenders can really deep dive into your credit picture. I actually had a buyer that froze her credit, and it turned out, we didn't find out until we were almost to the finish line, that she owed the IRS money, and she had not set up a payment program to do that. She would have qualified had she done that, but the lender didn't find out till the very end. In the end, her loan got denied. She'd already given up her apartment. I mean, it was a really sad story. So I didn't know the lender didn't look into it. So the one thing that you want to do is make sure you're dealing with professionals that know what they're doing. Unfortunately, in the state of Colorado, it's not a high regulatory environment for real estate. To be a real estate agent, it's 1 month of school. To be a mortgage broker, it's even worse. It's 2 weeks of school. And most of the buyers actually believe people that say, oh, I'm a licensed mortgage broker, and they're professionals, that they know what they're doing. And that's not always guaranteed. So definitely do your homework on who you're going to work with. And buyers need to ask the right questions. Like, if you're talking to a lender and they're asking you questions and they're deep diving about stuff, be open and honest with them, even if it's uncomfortable, because they're going to find out in the end, and you don't want to spend all this money like inspection, appraisal, and all that, and give up your apartment, and then find out you can't get the loan. Be totally prepared when you do this. And we'll talk about the don'ts. Those are more important. Don't apply for new credit lines. Once you've applied for your loan and you've gotten pre-approved, stop buying stuff. Don't make any large purchases. If you are making a large deposit, like if your family's giving you some down payment money, that's fine. The lenders are going to ask for a paper trail of where that money came from. And please don't quit your job. So if you'd like to get insider access to our off-market homes and become a VIP buyer, all you need to do is give us a call at 719-301-3900. That access is going to give you information like distress sales that we have coming on the market, foreclosed homes, off-market properties that represent the best buys. And all you have to do is give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold, Guaranteed Realty. If you are thinking of making a move, call Barb 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. When we come back, we're going to be discussing the top tips to increase the sales price of your Colorado home. Stay tuned for that. There you go.
All right. I had a few
Give
bloopers
me
in
a
there.
second. I'm going to run for just a second.
Okay, I'll be right back too.
My April's is wavy, but he cuts it all the time. Yeah, it's really light, like a lightweight to her hair, barely, but yeah, she straightens it a lot now too, so I'm like, your hair's just not really you curl anymore.
All right, I got some MAGA cookies for your kids. Oh, nice.
Someday we'll love that, thank you.
You're welcome. I think I've had enough of them.
How do you love it? She loves it.
She does?
She does, she eats everything,
She eats everything?
everything you give her, she eats, she loves Cheetos, she'll be in her walker and she'll eat the Cheetos. And most of Lisa's just like, oh my god, is she gonna choke? It's too big. I was like, no, she's fine. Leave her alone.
No.
Let her eat her things.
Okay. I'm back whenever you guys are ready.
Still waiting for Richard to get back in here.
No worries. I can't talk. I need to practice talking.
You don't practice enough?
I'm just saying I'm not enunciating as well as I want to, you know.
Okay.
Feel like I'm not enunciating right. Did you go to Costco? I was gonna put that on your list. It looks like you beat me.
I have it in writing on my text. What'd you say, Mark?
You made it to Costco?
I did, yeah.
I wrote a list and then I was gonna go by there.
I got some little these things. I got to do them and thank you. Thank you, Mark. And then I also got the suckers and cheese. And I know. 3 coffee. One mix chocolate cookies. You got what? The coffee and then the cold coffee. Yeah. Is it cold? Yeah, it is cold. Actually, I did it yesterday. It's good. Yeah, then maybe it'll.
They fire me at perfect. Thank you. Need to get my fire started.
Yeah, this stuff is amazing. Coffee is so good.
These are really good.
Yeah, I just go through it like really fast.
You know, the ones when I have them make the Frappuccino at the store,
Mhm.
there's something in it that always makes me cough.
Really?
Something I'm allergic to. I don't know what it is, but these don't bother me.
Yeah, those are really good.
Ugh. Starbucks. So DJ, Max just graduated from rappelling school.
That's
Oh.
awesome.
Oh my God. It's like
Dude, how long does, school take for that?
it was a couple of weeks. I'll text you the videos. They're pretty cool. They repelled out of ospreys and a Huey, and he preferred the osprey because they can hover more stably.
Right.
But there's rappelling, and then there's another one where you just slide down a rope. It's called fast rappelling.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was Black Hawk Down, I think,
Really, that's scary.
is what they had them doing. They call it a stick. Oh my gosh.
I rappelled out of a Huey.
Did you really?
I did. Back when I was in JROTC
Wow.
in New Mexico. It'd probably be illegal now.
I honestly, yeah. When you were saying rappelling, I'm like, well, wait, I've done that. But no. I went out and trained with the SEALs in San Diego, but I didn't rappel out of an osprey or a helicopter like you guys did. I just rappelled over the side of a building, and that's nothing compared to what you guys did. It's
It was
especially
60 feet. He said 60 feet. And I'm like, is
Geez.
there any like safety? He goes, well, first time when I got out there, he was trying to grab something to stop the fall.
Right.
He missed, right? And you've
Whoa.
got a buddy down in the bottom, and the buddy didn't catch it till he'd almost hit the ground, and he kind of stopped him, because he was smaller than Max. Max weighs probably, I don't know what he weighs. He's tall and big now, but
He's a pretty big guy.
yeah, he's 6'2". He's taller than Mark, and he looks like a RoboCop, but anyway, they had
I
to do.
lost my footing, so I actually hit the ground and hit my hip.
Oh, well, there's been people get killed doing
Yep.
that training, and one guy fell and broke all of his ribs, so it's really dangerous. And of course, I was a nervous wreck about it, but he said it was a course to train the trainers.
Oh, really?
Okay.
And he said one day he did something screwed up where you're not supposed to slide with your fingers. You're supposed to use like the palm, which I don't know what that means, but he used his fingers and burnt through the skin.
Ow.
God, sounds
Oh
painful.
my God. Describing that sounds horrible. And then honestly, on top of it, they're so wonderful, but they've had problems with them. I
A
mean,
lot of problems. Yeah, but
um,
he liked it for this particular purpose. He preferred an osprey over a helicopter because the Huey was moving all over the place. But
you know what? And and I don't know that I'm any better than the average person, but I don't think the average person just appreciates what all goes into it, how much training you have to do, how much training the Osprey or the Huey crew has to do. All of this, we pay so much for training, but my God, if you don't do that, you're in a combat zone, you're trying to drop, and now you are losing people.
yeah, it's I'm glad he's done with that. So it's over. And I guess you'd have to maintain currency every year as well. So, but he wasn't
Well, that
sure,
makes sense. Yeah.
but it was pretty neat.
Okay.
I'll send you, I got these little videos.
Oh, I'd love to see that. I would love to see that. All right, let me get this. Here we are. I'm ready to go. I'll count us down in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, home sellers planning to put their homes on the market often ask how to prepare. So, what are some important tips to drive up the sales price when they sell their Colorado Springs area home?
Well, Richard, I'd say pricing, which we talked about earlier, is absolutely critical that you price it, especially in a market that's correcting a little bit. Some of the correction is seasonality. What I mean by that is probably the prices peak out maybe April, May, because there's fewer homes on the market that time of year and more demand with all the military moves that go on in this market. But in general, there's more buyers buying in the summer versus the fall and winter. But there have been years where December was my busiest month because there is a transfer that happens in December as well with the military. But even so, the prices are correcting a little bit because the rates are going up. And that reduces the buyer's ability to handle payments. So for every 1% it goes up, we lose about 10% of the buyer population out there. Those are big numbers in general. So you want to make sure you check that. You take all these factors in. What are similar sales? What is the condition of the home? How does it stack up against the current competition? How long have the other homes been sitting on the market and why? And it's always good to price a home what I call realistically versus optimistically. Now, most sellers assume that buyers are going to buy their home, I don't care how pretty they are, as is, and not ask for any repairs. But I can say every year I can count on one hand how many buyers said, "We'll take the home as is, it's all good." That just doesn't happen very often. But small improvements or some checks that you can do on your home before you go on the market can really go a long way and set you up for success. As an example, I sold one of my listings, well, it's under contract right now, but basically I brought the buyer to this listing and we had met years before and then we met months before we were planning to go on the market. And I suggested to them, because they're on acreage, make sure you check out the septic system, inspect it, and find out whether or not it might need either repair or replacement. Only because that whole process of getting a repair bid, that what they have to do basically is do a soils test on the dirt if the leach field fails on the septic system. And then they have to take that soils test, send it to an engineer. An engineer has to decide what kind of septic leach field will be appropriate for that system. Then they have to bid it. Then they pull a permit based on the engineer and the bid. And so the whole process takes at least 90 days, at least. It could be longer as well. And it is also very expensive. And most people don't pay attention to the septic system if they don't have any problems and it doesn't have any backups. But the county and the state, in most counties in the area, require that the septic inspection take place prior to ownership transferring hands because and that is a seller obligation to do that because they want to make sure the ground is not contaminated. So that can be a very big ticket item that it would be a really good idea to get ahead of. Also with roofs, we have hailstorm after hailstorm in this climate. And again, if the roof doesn't leak, most sellers are like, it's fine, right? Well, the problem is your buyer can't get homeowner's insurance if there is substantial hail damage on the roof. So that's another thing that you want to get ahead of and have somebody check out the roof. Furnaces, things like the major mechanical furnace, electrical panel, those kind of things. It would be good. You don't necessarily have to fix it, but at least check out the system. You're supposed to do routine maintenance on furnaces and have them serviced every year. But most updates in general are pretty quick and easy and low cost, and a little bit of pre-planning goes a long way. Number one is declutter. So a lot of people do not see the clutter that they live with. And it's not meant to insult people. It's just they get used to it. Like we just did a rehab and we had to pull everything off the main level, put it in the basement, which really cluttered the basement and cleared off the main level. So as we're in the process of moving back into the main level, there's boxes of stuff downstairs that I haven't pulled upstairs, and I don't need them. In fact, I'm wondering what's in the boxes. So I think that happens with people. You just start accumulating things and it's just around and you don't pay attention to it and you don't really need it, but it's still there. The problem is it's very visible in photos, and buyers cannot see past it with marketing. So with this project, declutter really has to be taken one room at a time. So first, just go take pictures, be really honest with yourself, look at the picture, blow up the picture, and go, okay, does this look crowded? Does this look like too much stuff in the room? Is there anything jumping off the page in this photo? And we give you a lot of guidance. We actually, with our listings, we include a staging consult that gives you tips on what to do room by room by room, just so you know exactly how to prepare your home for photo day, because that is your first showing online. If buyers don't like what they see online, they are moving on. They're going to go get some other house and they're not even going to be bothered to come take a look at your home. You can rent a storage space and put a lot of stuff in there. But these are the rooms that you need to focus on. Number one, curb appeal is absolutely critical. Number two, backyard view. Number three, living room, kitchen, master bathroom, and master bedroom. So make sure those are cleared out. Don't worry too much about garages and the inside of closets, except for maybe the master closet, because the buyers definitely will look inside the closets when it's time to show the house. But at least for the initial photos, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Go ahead and put some of your storage stuff into the garage. That's fine to do that. Another very easy, inexpensive tip is to neutralize any dramatic paint. Now, what do I mean by dramatic? We had fads for a while where we were doing wallpaper. Wallpaper in some respects is coming back. All the fads come and go. Accent walls. I had an accent wall in my house, a red one that I thought was really pretty, but it's gone now. In general, buyers can't look past it. So if you can, especially in the key rooms, neutralize any dramatic paint. I remember having one customer, they were huge Bronco fans, and they had this big great room with a vaulted ceiling, and they painted the whole back wall Bronco orange, bright Bronco orange. And I said, I'm sorry, but you have to paint that wall. And they kind of grumbled. They weren't too happy with me, but you will get back 107% of any kind of paint freshening. And use neutral colors, grayish, the grayish color, cream colors, light neutral colors always work. And any tired flooring is also very, very important to repair, replace, because that's just one of those things that the buyers just can't get past, right? And I learned this from somebody that handles a high volume of sales for banks years ago. He goes, hey, you're my eyes and ears on the ground. Tell me if it needs new carpet, because in general, if the carpet's old, the buyer's gonna make an offer 7 or more times the cost of just replacing that. We had a house up in the Glen Eagle area, really beautiful, cool custom home, and they had replaced the carpet in the basement, but not on the main level. And when we first started showing, they were still living there, they still had their furniture, and you really didn't notice how worn the carpet was, but they moved out during the process of showing the home. And when they did that, all of the traffic areas, all of the weariness of the carpet really stood out. It just jumped out at you. And there was a couple of things, like there was a trend to put little borders up in rooms. So they came back and they replaced the carpet. They took care of the border. They updated a bath or two, just not too extreme, just simple stuff. And then we placed furniture in there, and immediately it sold for almost full price. We had another house where it was an inherited home. And I don't know if you remember, Richard, when the colors mauve and green were a fashion trend, like the late 90s. Remember that?
Yeah, they were kind of Miami Vice back in those days, but not so much these days.
So this house had pink mauve carpet. I said, because they asked me, what do we do? Do we update the kitchen? I said, no, but you need to replace the flooring, especially the carpet, and you can just freshen up the hardwood. So that's what they did. And it sold for over asking price. And one of the things that we provide is a help and information to make sure you're ahead of all these repair issues. So give us a call if you are thinking of making a move at 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. My name is Barb Schlinker, the broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb Has the Buyers, and the host of this show. And when we come back, we're going to touch on some low cost improvements that buyers just love. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you're thinking of selling, you want to give Barb a call, 719-301-3900. And we're talking, Barb, about the top tips to drive up the sales price of your home here in the Colorado Springs area. What are some other home repairs that can yield a great return on that investment?
Well, I think one of the big things that you could do that's very inexpensive is basically decluttering and having some kind of staging prep before you go on the market, especially with furniture. It's hard to find somebody to buy your furniture, although I had one client recently that had some pretty good success selling their used furniture on Facebook Marketplace. That worked out really well for them. So that's a tip. You can use that to sell any excess furniture, and make sure that you take care of clutter, make sure it's neat and tidy in every room. And basically, it's like a spring cleaning time for you, but take it one room at a time. It can be overwhelming. I just helped one couple move to a more independent living facility from a big, big house. And they left some of their unwanted furniture there, and then my stager work with them and move stuff around, and it looks amazing. So we can help you do that. My staff can help you do that. Plus, we have a moving van that we have two that we let our clients use for free, or we also have help that we can get to help you move stuff into storage, or maybe repurpose stuff that you don't need. And we offer that service for free. So give us a call anytime at 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She's the host of the program, and if you are thinking of making a move, call Barb, 719-301-3900, or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. If you want a free report on her 27 tips to sell your home fast and for the most money, go to barbhasthebuyers.com and then go up to free reports. You can download it there. When we come back, we're going to be talking about why do people prefer a cash offer when they're selling a house, plus Barb's hot new listings. Stay tuned for those.
All right, got it. Right on time.
All right.
Needed that caffeine to talk fast.
Let's see, we got this here. So I've got, it's funny. Yeah, I'm almost ready to go here. I've got friends, and some of them are like, well, can we get together and watch as the results come in? Or are you going to be at the station? Can I come in and sit with you and watch that stuff? And then I've got other ones who are like, look, do yourself a favor. Let's just get together and watch a movie or something. Let's not even watch what's going on. And, I really appreciate the offers, folks. But if you think I can just watch a movie tonight instead of paying attention to what's going on, then I don't think you know me very well, which obviously you don't. But
Yeah, it's gonna be, well, the last one was pretty exciting. I mean, I remember being up going, they stopped counting, what's going on?
no.
You know, so I hope
And
that
there
does,
is so much evidence out there that what went on was absolutely fraud. But boy, the mainstream media doesn't want you to know that.
yeah. So I was sitting there watching it real time, and one of the pollsters was a young kid. Some of these young guys are really into all the data.
Right.
He was doing a live stream and he goes, wait, that's kind of sketchy. Why did all the counting stop? So it really is. I'll never forget that day. So
You want to know something funny? So there's a book called The Secret History is the name of the book. And it goes into a lot of conspiracy theories and stuff, but it's got a whole chapter on election fraud. I kid you not. It goes all the way back into the 1970s and some of the fraud that was going on. And one of the things that they talked about was election night, counting votes. And all of a sudden, there was a leak in one of the pipes in the plumbing, and they had to vacate the area and then come back later on. And I'm like, wow. So they used that in the 1970s and they're still
yeah,
using it these days.
history repeated itself.
Yeah.
Wow.
It works.
Well, yeah, if it works and that's what I always say is, some of the stuff is pretty simple. If these people, usually the deep state and the alphabet agencies, if they got away with doing this one time, why would you think they would change what they're doing? Hell, they're going to keep doing it as long as they get away with it.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Merrick Garland to call me up. All right, here we go. Count us down in.
As a Zoom call next hour.
Yes. Um, we were just, I have to say this. Do you watch much regular television news?
No.
Good.
Well, I watch Fox.
Yeah.
Fox.
Local news I never watch, but when I'm in here in the morning or doing this show, I watch. And we have a partnership with KKTV. I used to be an anchor over there. And so their news pops up. It is horrid. It looks like a college TV station, and it looks like diversity and inclusion central. I You're better off for not watching it. There, I was frustrated. I just had to get that out of my system.
Well, do your kids, do they do like
Are
podcasts now?
you serious?
I don't think they have very many. There's a reason Brian Bledsoe left.
He was so popular. Where did he go? Where did he
He
go?
retired.
Jeez, he was so young. All right.
Yeah, aren't the kids doing podcasts now?
What's
That's-
that?
My son does that. He listens to his favorite podcast. He doesn't watch any of the news or anything like
And I
that.
think if you're listening to the right ones, like Joe Rogan, some of these other ones, you're getting the information. And now that you mention it, I'm going to ask, but I don't think any young people that I know watch regular television news, and
No,
especially, yeah.
Max does, he listens to Ben Shapiro if he has time, but he's really focused on whatever he's doing. He don't pay attention to it. He'd rather listen to music.
I can't argue with any of that. I mean, I don't blame him. And I don't know.
Rogan's my go-to.
Joe Rogan. I mean, and you know that he just endorsed Trump last night, right?
No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah. In fact, Trump was at a rally, and in the middle of the rally, he goes, well, I just got some good news. And he says, Joe Rogan just endorsed me. And it's kind of cute because you can tell that, Trump is like me. He's older. I didn't know who the hell Joe Rogan was a couple of years ago. I mean, I certainly do now, but
Yeah.
I didn't know who he was before. And yeah, so he and apparently this is big because Rogan never, never, never endorses anyone. And so the fact that he would step out and endorse Trump is like a really, really big deal.
Well,
And
I heard, one of my favorite guys that I follow on YouTube is Benny Johnson.
oh my God, he's a rock star.
He's hilarious. He's so cute. And at the beginning of every video, his team does some kind of funny meme, which is cool. But he was saying about Joe Rogan that he has more listeners than Fox News, all of the networks combined. I mean, that's
Wow.
how big this guy is, which I had no idea.
I didn't either, but I have to tell you, I think Benny Johnson is if I had to bet on anyone, I would bet on him because and apparently now he keeps getting bigger and bigger. Did you see the thing? I know we got to go here, but did you see the thing where he pretended to buy a gas station in Florida?
Yes,
That,
that was
oh my God.
adorable. He's a
And just black person, Latina, black person,
yeah.
black person, Latina. And he just nailed it. These people, what do they care about? They care about things like how much the gas costs, how much the food cost. It was so good.
Yeah, he's a sweetie. He really is. He's a smart guy. Wow.
All right. Let's do the last one and we get everybody out of here. And count us down in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold, Guaranteed Realty, and the host of the program. Now, Barb, with the real estate market cooling off, many home sellers don't want to wait months to sell their homes or worry about their contracts failing for a variety of different reasons. Why do people prefer cash when they're selling their homes here in Colorado?
Well, Richard, I'm not sure it matters how they get paid on closing day because it is all cash to the seller at closing. But there are a lot of landmines that take place when you accept a contract from a finance buyer. Like I just closed one last week, and it was so frustrating because it was like swimming in glue. We were supposed to close on October 11th. We ended up closing on October 29th because even though they got busy and they got the inspection done, they got the appraisal done the same day. Nobody told us that the appraiser required some repairs to take place. I had to finally ask for it. Then I got the information, which was days late, that we fixed it that day. I said, send the appraiser back out to verify, or can we send you pictures? We did both. No, you can't send pictures. We have to schedule it. So then I asked the lender to schedule with the appraisal, and he gets the word days later. It was like swimming in glue. It was so frustrating because we were thinking we're going to close 2 weeks before. And so those kind of aggravation points just drive sellers crazy. They kind of ruin the whole experience. And the agents, I think they had another job, to be honest, because they just didn't care. I kept asking, and there was a whole group of agents, and one agent said, well, I'm just the TC. I'm like, which stands for transaction coordinator, which means they're an admin person that tracks the deadlines. But her name was on the contract as a buyer's agent. And I'm like, okay, well, I need this information. When are you going to get it to me? Well, I didn't know. I mean, it was so frustrating. So we ended up closing late. I made the buyer pay for every day they were late, made the seller pay that difference in cost because so those are the kind of things that inject uncertainty into the closing process. And that's what sellers really dislike, and they worry about those kind of things. So 60% of home sellers on the market right now are having to reduce their price. And that's because the interest rates are actually still heading up. So when I created this little PowerPoint slide, the rates were 6.9. Right now, the rates for a 30-year fixed conventional are 7.10. They're going up, not down. And so every time they go up, we lose some buyers because they can't afford the payment anymore unless they're really paying down the interest rates, right? So most sellers dislike uncertainty. They don't like worrying about the house not selling. They don't like that the average days on market right now is over 83 days. I helped one seller sell her home, and she was on the market with another agent, and they took the house up, they got a contract, they took the house off the market, went for weeks and weeks. And then the buyer claimed that they were terminating their contract because of inspection, but then she gets something in the mail indicating the buyer couldn't qualify for the loan. So that's unfortunate. So she hired me and we got it sold right away. Or dealing with showings of agents that are very opinionated about the home's value. Sometimes they will actually talk the buyer out of buying a home. Those are miserable experiences for a home seller. Or the reason they say it's not worth that much about a house is they're trying to justify their worth as a buyer's agent. You should pay me 3% because I'm going to save you money, allegedly. But at the end of the day, many times if they do go under contract, there could be the uncertainty of demand that takes place over the inspection, expensive repairs, septic systems. I just had a seller that he didn't listen to me when I said, look, call this guy to get a bid to replace your septic. He called somebody else. And then when he told me what the estimate was, it was $51,000. It was, more than 10% of the sales price. And I said, you need to call this guy. And sure enough, my guy came, gave an estimate and saved him $21,000. So, buyers want a functional house. I understand that they're asking for repairs, but this is not necessarily their time to get upgrades, right? I just took over a listing from an agent where the buyer was demanding a brand new deck. Now, we all want a brand new deck, right, Richard?
Everyone would like a brand new deck. It's not as easy as these folks would. I mean, my gosh, that would accrue to their benefit if they were able to get something like that. Is it realistic? Is the question.
No, it's a house built 40 years ago. I mean, it would be okay for it to be repaired, right? It feels very stable to me. I've been walking all over it, right? And then the appraiser injects uncertainty. Did the appraiser give an opinion of value that matches the sales price? Are they asking for repairs? Just this morning, I got a request. Just this morning, I got a request for repairs on an appraisal that included plumbing things, which is kind of the first time I've seen that. So they looked under sinks, they ran every faucet, said, oh, there's a crack in that toilet, got to fix that. Oh, the disposal doesn't work right, got to fix that. So you never know what the appraiser is going to come up with regard to repairs as well. So we can show up with any property right now with at least 6, sometimes 12 offers on a home on day one. Now, some of these offers are low, but I would say some are pretty good. Some are actually above market value. Some of them are pretty darn good offers. So sellers are interested in that, and that's why more and more sellers are gravitating towards looking at cash offers rather than dealing with all these problems of showing the home, waiting for months for it to sell, having these agents derail the transaction. I just had an agent last week that turned a house into regional building because they didn't have a basement permit. That didn't make me too happy. And I caught her red pod lying to me and I confronted her on it. I went down to regional and asked them, I'm going to investigate that. And I showed them the text and they said, no, we would never say that about a house. That's not true. So there craziness out there, and that kind of stuff makes it very uncomfortable for the sellers because they're thinking, okay, this thing could still fall apart all the way until the finish line. With a cash buyer, you have absolute certainty. They might reduce the price if there are repairs needed, but they're probably not going to ask you to do the repairs. They don't need an appraisal because it's cash. They close on time. You can move on your schedule. It is literally the easy button of selling a home. It's just like CarMax selling. Have you ever sold a home in CarMax, Richard?
No, but
Or not a home.
yeah, car. No, I have not, but I know a lot of people do.
That's amazing. You go on their website, you put in your mileage and the year and what it has in it. Boom, they give you a price. If you like the price, you say, I'll accept. You go down there, they look at it, they cut you a check, and you're on your merry way. It's really easy. So some of these buyers are like selling a car to CarMax almost. So the other way that we can use these cash offers, which to me is even more valuable, is you can let's say somebody comes to you and they have a house to sell before they can buy your home. Okay. That sometimes we can make those deals work as long as, again, there's a lot of what ifs in there. One of them is is that home that's being sold priced right? Is it going to sell sooner than 90 days? Is it, is it going to go through? Uh, so there's all these kind of uncertainties that are injected into the process. So with our cash offer system, I can put that address in my system and go, hey, I got 6 or 8 offers on your house. Can I present these offers, cash offers, so you can buy this home without having a sale contingency and expedite the process, especially while the rates are going up. I presented that to one agent recently, and her answer to me was, no, no, we're just going to do the traditional way. How would you feel, Richard, if you had an agent speak on your behalf without ever talking to her seller about 6 or 8 offers that I had in my hand?
That is absolutely, I mean, I don't know if that's technically illegal. I don't know if it's unethical. It sure as heck is wrong. That's not how you do things. And you have a fiduciary relationship with your clients, Barb. You take that very seriously, but apparently not everyone does.
Yeah, and some sellers will just reject an offer like that. But we can also leverage those offers if an agent calls and says, "Hey, do you have any other offers?" I can say, "Yes, I do. Bring your best and highest offer." So there's a lot of benefits to it. So give us a call if you want a cash offer on your home. We can provide a cash offer on probably 99.9% of the homes out there. Call us at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. You can always reach her at 719-301-3900. And we're talking with Barb about what makes a cash offer better on houses for sellers.
Well, I think the thing that makes it better is that there is absolute certainty. It does. I've done a dozen of these just in the past couple of months. It's pretty simple. They know what day they're going to close. They know what day they have to move. And they don't have to worry about loan approval or crazy agents getting in the middle of it. So give us a call if you'd like to get a cash offer. There's no cost or obligation at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
Barb, you and your team are the only company I would recommend to people who are out there thinking of selling their homes and downsizing to a smaller home. To reach Barb and her team, call 719-301-3900. Barb, you're the host of the program. It's time for your hot new listings. What do you have this week?
I have a beautiful 2-story with a finished basement down close to Amazon there in the Powers Corridor. Really, really nice home, priced in the low 4s. I have a spectacular home out on Alta Plaza on 5 acres. This great home is actually really cool. It's got a 4-car garage and a barn and the whole thing. It's priced very well. I have a beautiful home on Delmonico Drive in the low 7s. This thing has gorgeous views. And also an amazing home on Sunbird Hills. This home has the most beautiful views I've ever seen. Massive home. There's 2 garages in the front of the house. There's a 2-car attached, and then you drive around the side. It's got another drive under garage where you could put 4 cars in there, and there's an entrance to the lower level. So you could actually rent out the whole lower level or have extended family down there, and they would never have to go on stairs. That one's priced at 1.5999. Got some beautiful lots on the market right now, and there's always new stuff coming on the market anytime. So give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You've been listening to Your Real Estate Voice. It airs every Saturday. And if you're thinking of making a move, call Barb 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. And you can see replays of the show on Barb's YouTube channel, Barb Schlinker, or listen to the podcast on all of the platforms like Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, many, many others. Thanks for listening. And to reach out to Barb again, 719-301-3900. Barb, have a great weekend. Wonderful. Barb, have a great weekend. Wonderful with talking to you again. Wait, what the hell? 3, 2, 1. Barb, wonderful talking with you. Have a great weekend. Talk to you next week.
Thank you, and happy Veterans